If you visited any .gov websites last month, you may have encountered more than you were expecting or even hoping for. A report from The Intercept says that dozens of government websites were hacked to redirect to porn. And this is all particularly funny because 19 states as of June 2024 now require age verification to access porn sites.
When you bring up the elephant in the room, which is a stain on not only society, but the entire dating culture, which is pornography.
Yeah.
And I think whenever America bans that, which will be happening at some point, everyone will be much better off.
Here in Texas, you can't even access Pornhub, not just because the site was banned or blocked as it is now in many states, but because the site made itself unavailable in Texas nearly a year ago to protest the age verification requirement. The state laws are argued to be unconstitutional to the point that the Supreme Court had to get involved, but more on that later. Let's talk about the hack. Government websites were redirecting visitors to hardcore porn websites, even in states where porn sites are typically blocked, banned, or behind an age verification wall. But this hack is a little different from what we've seen in the past. Instead of just a simple redirect where the website wasn't actually hosting the porn itself, rogue content was being uploaded to the government pages that then took visitors to the porn sites. From The Intercept, the new attacks work by tricking the site into attempting to load a non-existent image. Doing so invokes what's called a one-error event in the HTML code, which instructs the web browser to pull up a third-party website if an image won't load. This exploit transports users from the government page to a third-party site, which in turn redirects to yet another site hosting porn and soliciting signups with referral codes and affiliate links. If the user ultimately signs up for an account on one of these sites, the owner may receive a cash incentive. For example, some visitors were kicked to a page where they could purchase McAfee antivirus software. If the visitor signed up, the hacker who put it all in place presumably earned a commission. Since The Intercept started working on its investigation, the affected sites were taken offline, and McAfee said it would be removing the maliciously placed ad. The why behind all of this hasn't really been made clear. It's not clear whether this was some form of protest, a not all heroes wear capes kind of moment, maybe designed to spark chaos just before the Trump inauguration, or if it was just hackers doing something just because they can, which they love to do. It seems more like the latter to me, but perhaps it was a bit of an omen for what was to come. We now live in a time when the government is hacking and rewriting its own systems and websites, and by the government, I'm mostly referring to Elon Musk and his handful of children, none of whom are actually the government at all. But I mentioned that the Supreme Court had to get involved regarding the legality and constitutionality of porn access across the country. In the case, Free Speech Coalition v. Paxton, and that's Paxton as in Ken Paxton, the incredibly corrupt, legally embattled, and generally ill-intended Texas Attorney General, it's a matter of protecting free speech, specifically free sexual speech, and people's right to access information versus protecting the children. At least that is what the Paxton camp claims is the motivation behind the law. In reality, it's more likely a matter of personal data collection. In order to access certain websites, Paxton and others made it required that visitors would have to submit their driver's license information, financial information, and or submit to a biometric scan. Oh, and by the way, these requirements don't even protect minors the way proponents say they do. According to the ACLU, Texas's law, for instance, leaves precisely the same sexual content unregulated on search engines and social media platforms and stands to push kids into darker corners of the internet. Such laws also degrade privacy and anonymity and threaten the free and open internet for everyone, regardless of age. But this has been litigated before, and back in 2004, the Supreme Court ruled that websites could not require personal information from visitors before granting access. In the case Ashcroft versus ACLU 2, the court ruled against age verification, saying that less restrictive methods of protecting children from accessing certain sites were not shown to be inadequately effective, such that more restrictive methods would be deemed necessary. More than 20 years later, however, a lot has changed in the digital landscape. Social media was barely a thing back then. We were still using flip phones back then, and the term digital native was not a thing back then. When the case was heard last month, the 6 conservative judges and 1 liberal judge agreed that stricter controls surrounding access to pornography were more reasonable and more necessary now in 2025 than they were back in 2004. The filtering software found in 2004 to have been adequate is no longer adequate with the proliferation of smart devices. Also, the digital natives operating these devices are often more tech savvy than their parents are these days, so parental controls aren't as childproof as they once were. So it seems as though age verification is here to stay, for now at least, and honestly, it looks like we just need to get used to having our biometric data scanned everywhere we go. Our personal data isn't so personal anymore, and in order to function in society, we'll have to learn to live with that. I don't like it, but it's just another fight that we'll need to fight going forward. Unfortunately, I think people will choose passive acceptance as far as this particular issue is concerned. Maybe we'll just go back to buying porn from gas stations. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.